If the entire history of Earth were compressed into a short movie, humanity would appear only in the final seconds. And yet, those final seconds may decide the fate of the entire planet. Around 4.6 billion years ago, the early solar system began forming from a gigantic cloud of gas and dust drifting through space. Under the force of gravity, the cloud slowly collapsed inward and started spinning faster and faster. Over time, it flattened into a massive rotating disk of matter. At the center of that disk, pressure and temperature rose to unimaginable levels. Hydrogen atoms began fusing together. That reaction released enormous amounts of energy, and the sun was born. From the remaining material orbiting this newborn star, the planets slowly began to form, including Earth. Earth formed around 4.5 billion years ago, but the early Earth looked nothing like the world we know today. It was not blue, it was not peaceful, and there was no life anywhere. The planet was a true hell. Its surface was covered in molten rock. Massive volcanoes erupted constantly, and toxic gases filled the atmosphere. Then something catastrophic happened. A giant object, roughly the size of Mars, collided violently with the young Earth. Scientists call this lost world Theia. The impact was unimaginably powerful. Huge amounts of material were blasted into space. Over time, those glowing fragments came together and formed the Moon. At that time, Earth still had no oceans. Water existed only as vapor trapped inside the thick atmosphere. But around 3.8 billion years ago, the planet finally began to cool down. Water vapor condensed into clouds, and rain began falling across Earth. Not for days, not for years, but possibly for millions of years. Those endless storms created the first primitive oceans. And somewhere inside those ancient waters, life may have begun. Around 3.7 billion years ago, the earliest known life forms appeared on Earth. They were incredibly simple microorganisms, possibly living deep beneath the oceans or near hydrothermal vents on the seafloor. Life at that time was microscopic, fragile, almost invisible, but it was the beginning of all biological history on Earth. Then came another turning point. Around 2.4 billion years ago, certain microorganisms evolved the ability to use sunlight for energy. These organisms were early cyanobacteria. Through photosynthesis, they released oxygen into Earth's atmosphere. Slowly, the atmosphere of Earth began to change forever. Oxygen levels increased, carbon dioxide levels dropped, and the global climate became colder. The first great ice ages began. Earth was no longer just a planet with water. It was becoming a world capable of supporting more complex life. Around 11 billion years ago, the continents slowly collided and merged together, forming a supercontinent known as Rodinia. But Earth never stays still. The continents would later split apart again, drifting across the planet over hundreds of millions of years. Then, around 541 million years ago, life on Earth exploded with diversity. Scientists call this event the Cambrian explosion. During this period, life evolved faster than ever before. Countless new species suddenly appeared in the oceans. Many of them developed hard shells, spikes, primitive skeletons, or armor-like body structures for protection. One of the most famous creatures of this era was the trilobite, an ancient marine animal that dominated Earth's oceans for millions of years. But Earth's history has never been only about evolution. It has always been shaped by destruction as well. Around 444 million years ago, the planet experienced one of the first mass extinctions in its history. Global temperatures changed dramatically. Ocean ecosystems collapsed, and countless species disappeared forever. Yet life continued adapting, and eventually it recovered once again. Around 350 million years ago, plants began spreading rapidly across the land. Massive forests covered huge parts of Earth. At the same time, the first animals slowly began leaving the oceans. They adapted to life on land and opened an entirely new chapter in Earth's history. Then, around 335 million years ago, the continents merged once again into a giant supercontinent. Its name was Pangaea, but during this era, Earth faced the deadliest extinction event of all time. Scientists call it the Permian mass extinction. Massive volcanic eruptions darkened the skies. Greenhouse gases rapidly increased. Global temperatures rose to catastrophic levels. The oceans lost much of their oxygen, and ecosystems across the planet collapsed. Around 95% of all species disappeared. It was one of the greatest biological disasters Earth has ever experienced. But once again, life survived, and from the ruins of that catastrophe, new creatures began to rise. Around 230 million years ago, the first dinosaurs appeared. At first, they were relatively small, but over millions of years, dinosaurs evolved into the dominant animals on Earth. For more than 150 million years, they ruled the planet. During the age of dinosaurs, Pangaea slowly began breaking apart. The continents drifted toward the positions we recognize today. Dinosaurs seemed unstoppable, but around 66 million years ago, everything suddenly changed. A massive asteroid struck Earth. Firestorms spread across the planet. Dust and debris filled the atmosphere. Sunlight was blocked for long periods of time. Global temperatures collapsed. Food chains broke apart, and the dinosaurs could not survive the catastrophe. Yet their extinction created an opportunity for another group of animals, mammals. For millions of years, mammals had lived quietly in the shadows of dinosaurs. But after the extinction event, they rapidly diversified and evolved. Some became giant predators, others adapted to forests, oceans, or the skies. And eventually, one branch of mammals began evolving in a very different direction. Around 6 million years ago, the earliest ancestors of humans appeared. Over time, they gradually learned to walk upright. Their hands became free to hold objects and create tools. Around 800,000 years ago, humans learned how to control fire. That discovery changed everything. Fire provided warmth, protection from predators, cooked food, and more energy for the growing human brain. Humans evolved not only physically, but mentally as well. Language emerged. Cooperation became more advanced. Societies slowly formed. Over hundreds of thousands of years, many human species disappeared. Only one remained, Homo sapiens. And somehow, after billions of years of chaos, extinction, and evolution, the universe became aware of itself through us.